Thank you for joining. Thank you to Lauren for setting up the session. Hopefully you can all see my screen okay, and we'll just let the other people who are in the lobby into the meeting, trying to multitask here at the same time. Fingers crossed you can all hear me okay. Just double check my microphone is off mute, which is good. So yeah, this week's webinar is about the Microsoft Power Platform. So welcome to those that have joined us before. Welcome back. If you haven't joined us before, welcome to your first iCoTech event, and thank you for joining. So this week's webinar is about the Microsoft Power Platform, and really just an introduction into that, and I guess a little bit of everything. We are on YouTube, as the intro said there, so you can follow us on YouTube and see any of these technologies in further detail. Today's session is really just to skim over each of them at a higher level, and just to kind of just give you an insight into those, I guess, at a higher level, really. If you've got any questions about the sessions, please do feel free to raise your hand on the Teams feature, and that'll notify myself, and then I'll be able to come to you and kind of allow you to ask your question. Also, if you want to comment in the chat window, please feel free just to ask a question in there. I can either address it or answer the question there then and there, or come back to it later on if maybe I've answered it later on in the session or in the slide deck. Any information, any questions you have, any kind of how-tos, just please do feel free to email us at info@icotechservices.co.uk. Yeah, let's jump straight in. So the agenda today, wow, that's a bit of a heavy one, isn't it? I think we probably could just summarize with an introduction overview of each of the Power Platform technologies. We are going a little bit into the backdrop of each of the applications and where they come from, what they're kind of designed to do, and then I do a little bit of a show and tell on each of those applications as well. So I'll just give you a whistle-stop tour of an example kind of a Power App, a kind of a template, Power Automate flow that you can use, Power Virtual Agents. We'll just skim over those and just kind of give you a high-level overview of each of those applications, basically, and then we'll go from there. So just by way of intro background, so my name's Joel Markham. I'm the CEO and founder of iCoTech Services. I started my career back in PMO in Welsh Water many years ago. I did a short stint in Lloyds Bank as a project manager, and then spent 5 years at Babcock International Group, where I eventually became the head of projects and governance. And then our first iCoTech gig kicked off really with Companies House, where I was a transformation consultant over there for a year. And I headed up the P3 department over in Companies House. iCoTech is now grown to an organisation that has the customers like Bays, ONS, Betty's and Taylors, DEFRA, ACAS, IPO, Simbeck Ryan, and a couple of other private and public sector organisations as well. So yeah, really excited by the journey so far. Essentially, what we do is split down into 4 key components, really. We build Microsoft technology solutions using the Microsoft ecosystem, Microsoft 365. And these can really be to do whatever the organization wants to do, whether it's an ideas hub, a PPM system, a corporate lessons learned log, or a corporate risk management solution, or even a kind of a mini ERP solution using Business Central. We have a number of projects ongoing at any one time, delivering kind of modern business applications in the Microsoft 365 technology stack. We've also got a series of products, so they're predefined products that we've built, such as iCoplan, which you can buy off us as a SaaS product, which is more of a simplified PPM solution, project management solution. And there's more products to come in the future. We've signed a few partnerships recently to build some specific Power Platform products that will be brought to the market over the next few years. Then we've got service. So if you have any problems with 365, or some of our customers that may have built bigger, more powerful enterprise-grade solutions using the 365 platform, then they need us on hand to support and iterate on those services. So we've got like a service desk feature in CRM where you can submit a ticket, and we'll prioritize that ticket and put it into the next sprint and fix that bug or tweak or make that little change, enhancement to the system that we've built for you, or you need us to support. And the fourth element of what we do is really about consulting, so change management, capturing the requirements, making sure the systems are adopted and the benefits are realized. It's really important to us is that this system is actually being used by the organizations, not just that we've built it and the test has passed on a functional level. It really is about, is the system being used and is it adding value and beneficial to the organization, maybe 3 or 4 months after development has ceased, really. Being a Microsoft partner, we specialize in all these applications on the screen at the moment. So project and project online, project for the web, project operations, those type of services, Power Apps, Power BI, and Dynamics 365. So we're a gold partner in PPM and application development as well. So, but with all the things that we do have to have capability and specialties in Power Automate, Teams, SharePoint, Exchange Online, and OneDrive, etc. So yeah, quite wide ranging, but mostly, well, everything in Microsoft 365 cloud services. So yeah, that's a bit of an introduction to iCoTech, and yeah, let me jump straight into the slides. So the Power Platform. So what is the Power Platform? So the Power Platform is really a set of applications that have been given, I guess, to the partner community and the end user, super user community of organizations. This is a diagram that shows the 4 main products within the Power Platform. They are Power BI, which is a data visualization service, Power Apps, which is, as it says there, an application development tool, and then we've got Power Automate and Power Virtual Agents as well. Power Automate used to be called Flow, but they changed it to Power Automate to align with this technology stack. All those applications are available within Microsoft 365, so they're licensed a bit differently. There's some complications in that space, but they're essentially all available within a click of a button. With the right license, you can go and utilize these services. You can either utilize them as a kind of enterprise level application. So, IT organizations might be using these services to provide technology to a part of the business, or end users can use these services. So if you work in a dynamic and an agile organization, then you'll have access to Power BI and you'll be creating your dashboards in your workspaces, or your little Power Apps to Canvas apps to kind of capture ideas from across your business unit, or track small projects. So we're using Power Automate to automate a kind of a list item in SharePoint to go to a certain person for an approval. And then Power Virtual Agents, most of the users we see using, let's say, enterprise level resources, they're in an IT organization and they're ex-developers, and don't really see much citizen developers using Power Virtual Agents at the moment, in my experience, in our experience here at iCoTech. But all these products are based on the same low-code, no-code technology stack. So you don't have to be a developer to use any of these solutions. I would say that the Power BI is probably the outlier in that. I mean, you have to have an understanding of data tables and queries and DAX formulas, etc., to be able to really extract the value from Power BI. But Power Apps, you can really build tables and Canvas apps without being a developer. The vision for Microsoft here is that we give these tools to different communities across an organization. So whether it is IT and they're building real enterprise-wide critical applications in their own environment, and they're business critical, if they fail, they need to be fixed, or if it's just replacing Excel with a Power App. The vision is that if you've got a complex Excel spreadsheet, Microsoft want citizen developers, they call them, to start building a quick Power App. And instead of adding a new field or a new column in an Excel spreadsheet, or adding a new field into a table in Power Apps and putting it onto a view. That's the vision. And we do have customers. Even the day I was talking to a customer that was making changes under the support and guidance from us to a Power Automate flow. So it does happen, and that's the vision for Microsoft in this technology. It all benefits from data connectors, AI builders, and something that used to be called the Common Data Service, that's now called the Dataverse. Apologies, this slide is a bit out of date, but they've now changed that to be called the Dataverse. And those technologies are really common across all those systems, and the data connectors you can utilize are quite incredible. So you've got Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, lots of other connectors we can use to take data from different services. So if you want to log a record in a SharePoint list based on somebody tagging your company on LinkedIn in a post, then you can do that. using the data connectors. If you want to send an approval of an expense, in a SharePoint list that's added, using data connectors and Power Automate, you could send that to the line manager of the user to approve that expense and take it through a business process flow. So those are the types of things you could do with those data connectors. AI builders, I'm not going to get into that at the moment. That's a whole other topic of conversation. But if you skip over to the common data service and the Dataverse, effectively the Dataverse, and I'll show you later on, is a set of tables and a set of repository of tables to allow you to share that information across multiple applications. So whether it's Power BI, Power Apps, Dynamics 365, or use it in Power Automate and Power Virtual Agents, it's kind of the backbone, the back end, as people used to call it, of the Power Platform, is the Dataverse. And you can bring in data from other products, other services to that, and then use them in your Power App as well. So yeah, I think I covered everything that I need to on that slide. The next section is really going through Power BI, what it's used for, what it does, and go from there really. I'm just gonna make sure I can get rid of this little pin. That annoys me sometimes, that pin. So Power BI. So what is Power BI? Power BI is a data visualization tool, and you can use this to connect to multiple different data sources across your technology stack. So most of the kind of use cases are connecting it to maybe Excel or SharePoint. In our case, we're mostly connecting this to the Dataverse. So we're bringing data from multiple tables in systems and multiple systems into one place to visualize that information in one version of the truth. So with this, you can create your portfolio plans, you could do your customer insights, you can analyze trends, and you can really visualize, I guess, to the board of directors or a project board, or on your phone. You can use the technology to see this, the data that you're reporting on, in order to make informed decisions. Right, so it's collating, merging, and blending your data, to make good use of that information. I guess one of the pain point, one of the challenges really here is the kind of the ability to bring it together is quite hard. Some of the reports that we set our developers here internally, or I come up with as KPIs to report on, they do need a lot of merging, kind of queries, query writing. So you do have to be quite proficient in being able to merge a query, create the formulas, and understand the data structures and the data types, and your kind of primary key, secondary keys, all those type of things need to be understood in order to really build a Power BI dashboard. That's why I think it's probably one of the most advanced tools to use. You could create quite a simple dashboard relatively simply, very quickly, especially if you use one of the content packs that are available on GitHub as well. So you can download content packs for different services, and you can then repoint that at your live service, like this example on the screen here. So this is the Project Online content pack. So if you're using Project Online as an enterprise-wide PPM solution, you can download this content pack, log in with your credentials, and point it to that environment. And it's kind of like a pre-built solution for you, which you can tweak and change to meet your specific requirements. Yeah, so this is an example here of some visualizations, the donuts, the charts, the graphs, all those different, and the cards on the left-hand side as well there. So we're saying you've got 58 projects, £19 million of spend. You've got 250,000 or 275,000 hours of project work as well there. So on that little image, and then this is a heat map of your resources available across the organization. And obviously everybody's requirement on this call will be different for Power BI, but hopefully this just gives you an example of what it could be used for. One of the things that I always remember was creating my PowerPoint, kind of reports, and your PowerPoint status reports for projects. Well, Power BI removes that, and I always remember creating these Power BI dashboards and then, putting the wrong RAG in, or putting the wrong date in, or putting the wrong status update, and then PDFing it and sending it on to my stakeholders to review in the project board, and that was really difficult to do. This removes that now. The idea is that, and it has happened with our customers and in person, where the sponsor of the project, storming down the corridor saying, "Why is the project red? Because I've seen it on Power BI, it's red." And there's no need to report on that information at a certain point in time. It's still a business shift and a thinking shift, because some of our customers will still PDF the Power BI dashboard and send it on to somebody. But the idea is you've got real-time information and making decisions based on the rich data you can see in front of you, and you're able to kind of interrogate that data quickly and sing from the single hymn sheet, I guess, is the idea. One of the things I would say Power BI is not good at, Power BI is, and one thing we try to architect into our solutions, is that if this report is repeatable, if you're continually using this dashboard, if you're going to weekly sprint reviews or monthly project or portfolio boards, and it's a report and a statistic that you want to see time and time again, then you use Power BI. If it's a one-hit wonder, if you just want to go and I want to see how many people have joined an event from America, and it's just a one-off thing that I'm really just interested once, you wouldn't use Power BI for that. By the time you've built it, you may as well have exported it into an Excel document, used a pivot table, and just created your pivot table and just got your little simple chart. There's a differentiation for when you need to use a service. Also, if you don't need it to be visual, then if you don't need to be interactive in some way, filtering by a certain type of event or a certain part of America or the location in that example, then you're probably better off exporting to Excel and put a pivot table together. But it's a great tool to use. It is really, really beneficial when you've got lots of different data sources. That is fantastic when it comes to lots of different data sources, like a P&L for an organization with different systems. Power BI is brilliant. So I think it's a couple of elements to think about in this tool as well. So you've got the Windows application called Power BI Desktop. You could download this. I think it's free, actually. You could download it and you can start connecting it to data sources. You can import an Excel spreadsheet, and you can just start creating your local Power BI reports. You've then got the online service, the SaaS service, which is the Power BI service. And that's a bit more complicated, and the other things to think about are the Power BI mobile apps as well. So really super cool technology where I've got it on my phone, you can see all the data, all those Power BI reports can be changed and designed with a form factor, so that on the phone you can see here that the report looks like that on the screen, but on the phone it looks more kind of tabular or list form. You could design all that using the Power BI desktop application as well. Beyond those three kind of services, there are other services of Power BI which are real kind of pro expert. These are the type of services that we'll deliver, which are the reporting server for on-premise reports. So if you've got kind of SQL databases or rostering systems on a server in a comms room, in a cabinet, old school, that's kind of the Power BI reporting server application. Then you've got the kind of paginated report creation tool, which is the Power BI service, which is more around when you've committed and you're using Power BI to replace ClickView or any other products out there, and it is your main business reporting application. You'd probably go to the reporting builder, and it would be an enterprise grade service that would have test pro, kind of pre-prod and prod versions of your reports, and it's kind of really critical to the way your business is run. So I think that's just a good example of where these tools are, citizen tools, citizen developer tools, where you're kind of an end user, you might be a business analyst or, a business owner, and you can use the tool, versus a full enterprise grade solution as well. So we'll come on to these later on. I'll do a quick demonstration of this in a few moments' time, but these are apps you can buy download pre-configured reporting apps for Google Analytics, GitHub repositories. The Microsoft 365 usage one is quite cool as well. So if you're a kind of a Microsoft 365 owner, administrator, you can use the content pack or the app from Power BI and plug it into your 365 solution. It'll tell you your usage, your locations, and all that kind of cool stuff. So it's quite cool just to see very quickly. YouTube Analytics, I haven't used this YouTube Analytics at the moment myself, but I imagine it's quite cool. So there's some examples there. of the applications you can use. As your DevOps as well, the integration with that is also quite good, where you can see the points, the epics, and the velocity burn down, burn up of the systems that you're using as well. You could take those apps as well. You can create your own, which I'll show you in a few minutes time as well. Cool. So the one thing to think about is that Power BI allows you to have or utilizes the concept of the workspaces. So you can have different teams building different reports, and you can collaborate in that workspace. So you can have like a finance workspace or an operations workspace or a project workspace, whatever it might be. And you can share the data sets within those workspaces as well. So you can see how it can get quite complicated, and just needs some thinking about permissions, structures, roles and responsibilities, those type of things that need to be thought through when you kind of roll out Power BI beyond your desktop. I've got a desktop client and I'm connecting it to SharePoint. So yeah, let's probably jump straight in. I can't do a very good transition here because I've got too many screens on my. Oh, that was a really bad idea. Sorry. I've got to move. Uh-oh. You can see my problem. There we go. So I'm going to show you Power BI as it stands. Thank you very much. Saved by that there. So this is a workspace. I'm going to maximize this little tab on the left hand side, and I'm just going to do that again. Okay, so this is Power BI. So you can go on to the waffle, as I call it, which I don't think is an office word, but I call it a waffle, and it's where you can sign in to your 365 and see all your applications here. If you've got the license, you'll have Power BI available to you, and you can see it just lands you on a nice little page here. You can do some clever stuff now, like integrating this into Teams, but I won't show you that today because knowing my luck, it'll probably fall over. But I'm going to just re-expand this little menu item here, and you've got the concept of workspaces, which we covered a couple of minutes ago. In this example, in this demo environment, there's the Mark 8 project team. So the project team has a number of people in this workspace, and we're able to go and create a set of reports, data sets, data flows, real-time data sets as well, which is quite cool. So if you don't, sometimes you'll want to take the data overnight or every hour or upon request, which would be a data flow. And using the Power Automate technology to say, look, once a night at 1 o'clock in the morning, take that data, put it into my reporting cube here. Or actually you want to plug into it live. So you might have Google Analytics or some other service on your website, and you want to plug into this those data set live, and obviously pros and cons to both. Then you've got your data sets here. So these data sets are, simple kind of tables where the data is reported, and then you can go into the visual itself. So this is really the crux of it in Power BI, where you're able to kind of click on these reports, and all these charts will update dynamically based on the category I've selected there. So this is a website traffic, consumer traffic report as a content package, just for demo purposes. So it hasn't got 100% logic behind it, but this is a website. This is where the tweets, by country, for example, and unique visitors, where they're coming from, are they return visitors, daily users, unique visitors, so on and so forth. You can see in this parameter in a moment, we've got 4,500 unique website visitors, and the average number of daily visitors is 396 in this case. All right, and I think this is trying to tell me that there's 143 unique visitors per day as well. All right, this spend an average of 2.6 minutes, and so on and so forth. But I can move that now to Europe. So in Europe, what's the stats here, and what's the stats by desktop versus mobile? So you can see in here now in Europe, there's 4,000 number of visitors. Yeah, and actually by desktop there's 7,000. So the idea is to be in a review of your website or your marketing team, in this example, and you're being able to see this information live on your big screen at the front of your room. Everybody's joining via Teams as well, and the person who's presenting can actually tell a narrative, tell a story throughout the data. And if somebody says, can we deep dive into that? The shipping details, maybe you can click on that and say, people are joining the website here to talk about or to interact with the shipping details of the website. Why is that? Why is that versus the homepage, for example, where we're getting this number of people landing on the homepage? Right? And when you go into shipping details, why is it that they're only joining from France and Spain in this example? This is just obviously mock data and not a lot of logic behind this one specific example, but that's the benefit of Power BI. I can associate it to a project space where we're talking about the status of a project live on the screen, and we're talking about the red risks, and we're able to deep dive into the risk section and see why are these risks red, what can we do about them. So that's an example of Power BI and what it can be used for. You can see the different types of visuals you've got here, the maps, the bar charts, the cards, the counts, all that kind of good stuff as well. All right, so yeah, or the other one they like to use is this word cloud, although it gets rather congested and these crazy. I have no idea what that is actually called in technicality, but that is a funky looking diagram down there. To be fair, we just stick to the cards, the dials, the bar charts, and just accept that they're nice and they dynamically update, and we can interrogate and come in and out of that data. Some of the word clouds are a bit a bit too much for most of the people that use this technology in our experience. All right, so that's Power BI. As I said at the start, if there's any questions, please feel free to raise your hand. Please feel free to put a question into the chat window. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you've got about the connectors or about how you could go about using the services in more detail. And if you do raise your hand, I can I can take you off mute and we can have a chat. And so if you've got any questions, please do let me know. Are there any specific questions on Power Automate at the moment? Sorry, Power BI at the moment? No. Okie dokie. Well, I'll continue. As I said, yeah, feel free to answer to ask any questions that you have. So, Power Apps. Okay, so we've talked about Power BI. We're now going to talk about Power Apps. So, Power Apps is kind of what it says on the tin. It's the ability to build applications. Yeah, and these could be applications in a wide range of kind of use cases. But you can analyze the data. We can automate things. We can schedule events or schedule meetings through Power Apps. And it's all about low code, no code kind of development. That's the ethos from Microsoft here. It's asking, is enabling end users to be able to build these apps. So, you don't have to be a developer to build these things. And, I think in my personal opinion, 5 years ago, building something like this on a screen, you thought I need a developer for that. I need to go buy a developer or go on a course. You don't need to be a developer now to build this type of stuff. You can have a bit of self-learning on Bing, Google, and you can build these applications yourself. Or you could build enterprise-wide, massive, powerful kind of systems that are really complex and have lots of logic in them, so on and so forth. So it's all again in Microsoft 365. It's all utilizes the same connectors. You can quickly and easily build these applications. We had a customer the other day who came on to a session with us, and they have built a demand form in a Canvas app, and they put that in a SharePoint list. So everybody from across the organization wanted a project from IT, and they were just putting their projects into this Canvas app and submitting the idea, and that would go off through Flow to kind of the CIO or the IT director to quickly say yes or no. It was simple, it was dirty, it was just quick and easy to do, and they did that in a Canvas app, which is the real value of the technology. But likewise, we've got systems that integrate with Dynamics 365, ERP services using the same technology. So it is really that wide ranging as a technology set. All right. With Power Apps, it's a bit different to Power BI in that there's 3 distinct type of Power Apps we've got to, I guess, make you aware of. So there's Canvas apps, portals, and model-driven apps. So a Canvas app is really about having a blank canvas, right? It's about having a form factor on the phone or a tablet. You can embed it into a SharePoint page as well, which is quite cool. But it's almost having like a can't not say it again, but a blank canvas to be able to create your buttons, and gives you the flexibility to create the forms how you see fit and place the button where you want the button for next to be or submit to be. If you want the button to be red, you can make it red. If you want it to be massive and take up the whole page, you can make it massive. You know, you really can design the user interface of the application as you see fit. In the middle there then is portals. So this is more about external facing websites really. You know, surfacing data, reports to your external communities that don't have a 365 license like you do. So you pay for portals in a different licensing model. It's more per interaction or per request onto the service. And it's about having a website where you can put all your invoices on and the customers can maybe download them, or if you've got a complaint, you might want to log into your portal or surface that portal and sign in which customer you're from, which project you're referring to, and then submit your request or your complaint to that process. It really is about interacting with people outside of your technical organization in 365. That's what the portal technology is for. Some cool stuff in that space as well, which is that you can sign on using the Facebook, Microsoft, and LinkedIn authentication services as well. So you don't actually have to give them their own log-on details. You can use a LinkedIn account, for example. So if you've got consultants that predominantly use LinkedIn, in order to identify who they are and authenticate onto the service, they can register with their LinkedIn account or their Facebook account if it's more social. And the Microsoft 365 account as well. So if they've got their own Microsoft 365 account, then they can log on to the portal using that service. The next one on the right hand side then is the model-driven app. That's more of a systematic form factor. It's more about keeping records. It's more about your non-functional needs. So where you don't need to create a big red next button, you just want to manage a lot of records in a system. A SharePoint list is too clunky and too standalone. Maybe you would have put those things in Excel before. A lot of our customers come to us with a myriad of Excel spreadsheets with if statements and forms and macros in there, and it doesn't work and it falls over, and we move them to a model-driven app for that need, and that's the solutions that we'll build really. But again, you don't have to be a developer to build those. Simple model-driven apps you can do yourself, and the changes to the model-driven apps that our customers are making, they're doing themselves, which is pretty cool to see. Obviously, the more complex they get, the less we have to go. The more we have to go through a proper DevOps process of testing it in a test environment, and then produce and then migrating it over to live and so on and so forth. So. Yeah, so this is an example of a Canvas app. So you can see you've got the toggles, you've got the maps, you've got the images. It's just multiple form factors in different kind of screen sizes here, and it does render quite nicely to different screen sizes automatically. So it's the same app, you can access it. It knows you're on a phone, so it'll squash it into a phone form factor. It is much more intuitive than a model-driven application. It looks nicer. We can take branding. You can use drag and drop components, but it is a little bit more complicated to build these kind of apps in our view. The model-driven app is by far the easiest. If once you've got it and understand it, I guess it's offer a high degree of creativity, and no kind of two apps are ever exactly the same, because you are like dragging and dropping these components onto this canvas. This is an example of a model-driven app. So again, you can see it's Dynamics 365 technology. If anybody's used 365, this is about creating a record, going through a life cycle, and you can add different information to the record at different stages of its life cycle. And you can have charts. So you get this little kind of funnel chart on the top right-hand side. You can embed kind of Power BI visuals into these if you want to, but it might have some performance issues as well. But this little screen here is a model-driven app on a phone. So if you use Dynamics or the model-driven technology, you can have it as a mobile app. So it still works on a phone. It's just it kind of condenses it to that mobile phone size screen, and I use it for Dynamics. I've got my contacts, so if I have a call with somebody out of hours, maybe I'm not in front of my laptop, I can, after the call, I can go onto Dynamics on my phone, click contacts, and update the conversation. So even a model-driven app can be used on different devices, so it's important to I guess to share that with you. Nothing else. I don't think I've covered everything on this. Okay. So Portal. So you can see here, this is an example of a portal. Again, it can be used on a phone, it can be used on a tablet, and it can be used on, you know, a desktop screen, but it's a different form factor. It's a different look and feel, isn't it? It's got the kind of standard menu bar on the top right and the standard kind of scroll down to see these different sections and these different components of the website, which is effectively what it is. But it's still, as you can see there on top right, using Power Apps and the same technology to build these services. So, you know, just you can brand it, you can use your own CSS branding and formatting. And again, you can still connect it to the Dataverse and, you know, connect it to 365 and Dynamics 365 and all those other services that we use in this technology space. All right. The next thing I want to show you is data flows. So data flows is pretty cool. We like data flows here at iCoTech. Data flows is about connecting multiple data sources into the Dataverse. I know it gets complicated, but this is really about, rather than Power BI, for example, connecting to Xero, SharePoint, and Excel. What we do is we connect Excel, Xero, and SharePoint, I forgot the third one now, into the data lake itself, into Dataverse itself, using data flows. So every hour, every, for Xero, maybe every day for Excel, and every upon request of a new expense on SharePoint, those data flows will fire individually, and it'll compute and centralize that data into one single data set. So that when we're using Power BI, we're refreshing the data against one single data set that's in the Dataverse, and it's not kind of pulling data from multiple data sources and, you know, slowing down those other services or breaking those other services. And it's all about designing that architecture and that solution to the specific requirement of the customer. So data flows is that one of the newest features in the Power Platform technology, and it's something that I encourage you guys to go and have a look at. It's quite easy to create as well. You know, you can connect through OData service as well. So most things can connect through OData. You know, Project Online, you know, other applications that are SaaS applications can connect through the OData link as well. And you can create your own custom connectors if you've got something funky like a rostering solution on that SQL server on-prem in a cabinet in the corner of your room, in the corner of your building, then you know, you can use those services to connect to those data sets. All right. So I'm just going to jump into here, and hopefully this is a better transition, fingers crossed. So this is the Power Apps technology platform. So again, it's in the waffle. Right, so you can go and click on Power Apps, and then what we're able to do then is see the Dataverse really that it's sitting on. I want to show you that quickly. Just the Dataverse is essentially this here, which is a set of tables. So you've got you know, every table that says default in part of D365, or all the tables in the system. You can see the sheer number of tables in here. Right, you've got the chatbot tables, you've got your connection tables, you've got your contacts, your custom APIs, your decisions table, your data map, your emails, you know, the faxes, who uses fax, your ideas, your issues, everything could go in here. You know, your general ledger could go in here, your milestone payments, everything, your departments, everything goes into your data lake really, and to your Dataverse. All right. And then within these tables, you can go into, let's take account. You go into the account and you've got a set of relationships, rules, views, forms, and dashboards, charts, all associated to each of these. So this is like your, imagine the table as a list in SharePoint, right? If you're used to using SharePoint, and then your columns as the columns in SharePoint, right? So you can go and create a new column, and you can select the type, whether it's multiple choice, whether it's a file upload. You know, these images, you know, kind of whole number, phone numbers, ticker symbols, a URL to external website. You can create your own columns in here, and you add your columns into the system, and then you can create your forms then. All right, so you can create the information form here for an account, and then you can bring in, if you click on this little ABC up here, these are all the columns in each of the tables, and then you're able to bring the column, let's have a look. You see, this is like an aging invoicing. So give me all the aging invoices are over 90 days or within 90 days and 30 days. So this is all the technology that Microsoft Dynamics ERP is built on. I'm just going to go and have a look, modified on. I'm just going to find one status reason. Here we go. So you literally can drag and drop that field. Typical. There's a reason you can't do that. But let's try and pick another one. Please work. It normally works. If you've watched any of the other YouTube videos, this works. So let me just try and work out why that's going to bug me. That is. Here we go. For some reason that worked and the others didn't. But the idea is you can go and add a new column. Let's go in here. I want to create a field called, accounts, account. Key priorities. It's not required. It's searchable. Maximum. Let's make it 1,000 characters. Add that in there. So adding that field to the Dataverse, right? And then I'm able to use that field and bring it back into this form to quickly create a simple form here. All right. Okay. Here we go. I forgot what that field was called. This is the problem about doing live demos. So, but you can drag and drop that in there now, and you can publish that to the application, and you'll be able to use that as the front end of the system then to go and create those those records. All right, so that's a very quick way of just me showing you. We have got other videos on the Power Platform, Power Apps specifically, and a detailed guide of how to go and build your first Power App as well. So if you go to YouTube and you can follow us on there, thank you. And nice to see you, mate. Thank you. And we can go and show you how to go and build those and follow the YouTube step by step. Go through the videos. And so the next one I want to show you, so that's all for kind of the tables, whether you're using a portal, a Canvas app, or a model-driven app. Doesn't really matter what app you're using there. You've got custom choices, so every field can have a choice, and you can put that as multiple choices, and you can reuse those choices across different fields as well. Data flows, the cool thing I was talking about earlier. Let me see if I can create one quickly for you. Start from a blank template. I'm just going to create a test one. Let's quickly spell. This, as you can tell, this is an overview, so I'm just going as quick as I possibly can for time, going through each and every one of the kind of technologies in the Power Platform, just to show you the breadth of it, really. Try not to deep dive into it too much, but you can probably tell I get a bit excited by this stuff. But yeah, so we can actually take data using the OData feed to Project Online, for example. We can get to Google Analytics service. We can get to a SharePoint Online list. All right, so we can go and paste in the URL to a SharePoint Online list, create the connection, authenticate through to it, and then bring that all the records from that SharePoint list. We could bring back into the Dataverse in a table, in a new table or an existing table. We could even connect to SAP, to Salesforce, to Exchange for email traffic, and to another website, so Facebook, and you can create your own APIs as well. So if you want to take data from different services, Power Platform is the one for you. All right. Lots of other things you could do with it. Power Platform connectors, Azure Data Storage, Azure Data Blobs, Azure Tables as well, SQL tables. Really is as kind of complex or as simple in the case of Excel. If you've got an Excel file on a SharePoint site somewhere, on an FTP site, you can connect to it from here. Yeah, bring all those records in the Excel file into the data, the CDS, and God, I'll call it CDS, the Dataverse, and utilize that in your application then. All right. Got lots of other technologies that I'm trying not to go into. You can make connectors into different services. Right, so these are your connectors through the different technologies like Teams, and then your custom connectors as well. So if you've got your developer team in place, they can go and create a new connector to go and, with an API into an online or locally stored service as well. So that's the kind of the technology that's underpinning the Power Platform, and then really what can you do with it at the end of the front end of it? So iCoPlan is a kind of this is an old version of iCoPlan, which is this is the front end now of the system. All right, so I'm just going to very quickly go through a just an example here. So this is where you would create a new project in this simple example, and you can see this project goes through different stages in the process. So you've got your project mandate at the start, your initial business case, your outline business case, FBC and full business case, and project close and final close. So, and these are the forms that you can go and you can create and customize and configure yourselves. All right, so and then these are the kind of entities that are linked to the project. They're blank at the moment, but probably because I haven't created this project yet. I haven't tested this, so I'm going to caveat that I haven't tested this at all, because it's just an old kind of demo environment that we've got. I'm just going to go and create a simple project. It's probably going to shout at me because I haven't filled something in. But you can put all those rules in place. So that kind of required field of the project manager there, well, you can make that not required, maybe a project mandate, but then when you move through to a business case, it could be then required. So you could put all that logic into the system. All right. You can even open it in Microsoft Project. I don't think that'll work because I don't think I've got a license, and I'm not going to try it because it knows me. But you can open up the associated schedule for that project in here as well. You can share the project. You can use Power Automate to create a flow to go and convert this project into a different different type of project, or even baseline the project. So if you want to take the baseline schedule, the baseline cost, you could do all that in this type of service. This is an example. I guess it's just to show the technology. You could use this for CRM, for your customers, or an opportunity in sales, or even an event, the start planning of an event, agenda setting, and then, publish the event and so on and so forth. It really is the carcass of the technology that then you can go and use for your specific use case, and you can build it yourself, or you can come to iCoTech and we can help you build it, and we can collaborate together on these kind of ideas and systems and processes. The idea then is we're able to kind of create all take all the records from all the projects and go and concatenate them and bring them into one view here in the system, and this is all a model-driven app. All right. I haven't got time to show you any of those, and they're a little bit more complicated, but I'm going to quickly try and go back to here. So what you could do is you create, and this is where you create a new app. So you can create a Canvas app, a portal, or whatever it may be. It's a simple thing to do. You just go in here, create a name. You've got to find your address, your like a URL address of your website, so it can hang off your website, and create your portal to start dragging and dropping to build your website. All right, the Canvas app is again another simple kind of user interface. Sorry, so I can show you this one very quickly. It's a tablet form factor, so it's going to be built predominantly for a tablet, not a phone, but it can render to both. And then you can go through the process of getting into the studio for the Canvas app. All right. This is where it gets a bit complicated. Again, there's some other videos online from iCoTech of how to go and build these Canvas apps. But if you've got any questions, please do feel free to email us at info@icotechservices.co.uk. All right, and I'll be happy to take you through, jump on a half-an-hour call and take anybody through how to build these, and maybe even if you've got a problem, like a challenge or a use case, a problem you're trying to solve, just send it through to info@icotechservices.co.uk, and we could jump on a call and show you how to do it. Right, so we're going to jump back into the slide deck. Okay. So that was Power Apps. I'm conscious I've been talking for 48 minutes. Please, if you have any questions, please do write them in the chat window, or just raise your hands on Teams, and I can come to you and we can have a quick chat about that. Any questions that you have about how to. Does anybody have any specific questions at this time? Please give me a break. I'm going to take a sip of my water. No questions at all? Okie dokie. Right, we've got a few other subjects to cover. We have got Power Automate. I'm going to run out of time here, so I'm just going to try and whistle stop through both these slides. And if you need a demonstration on Power Automate, please do follow us on YouTube. Go to the YouTube channel. There's a couple of videos on how to do that. There's a couple of examples from Chris, our head of development, who can they shows you these. This work in practice. But Power Automate is really about connecting applications and processes seamlessly together. So it's about building workflow logic, approval, sharing requests, processes, like that, the project process I showed you earlier, that's Power Automate. Workflow, so I submit a request, it goes to a certain individual, and then it goes to their manager for approval. All right. I just have my screen pop up. So Lawrence just put a link into the chat window to our YouTube channel. So if you want to follow that link, you can follow us on YouTube. Yeah, then you can see any of those details in the videos in more detail. So this is a condition. If the condition is met, the flow goes down this route and it does these steps. If not, it goes down this route, so on and so forth. All right. Again, you can use Power Automate with different systems and different technologies. You can use it with portals as well, and it is really about the low code technology stack. That's what it's for. All right, but it's low code. But it is a bit more complex than you have to be understand how these processes work in order to utilize it to the best of its capability. But one of the things I would suggest is if I just jump into the show and tell, I'm just trying to whittle my way through this because of time here. But you've got lots of different templates you can start with. All right, and you can go into the waffle at the top of the screen here. As you've got an appropriate license, you can go into Power Automate and you can start by clicking on the create button. And here you've basically got different types of flows, and it's good to understand the different types of flows. The business process flow is the one I showed you earlier, which is multiple steps going through a record. You can schedule a flow to go at 1 o'clock every morning, and you can have an instant flow triggered manually. So I want a flow to do something based on a button that I click. All right, and then you could do a desktop flow as well, which is quite cool. So if you've got a flow like remember, like a macro, use the click buttons. You can build a desktop flow to kind of click this button, click that button, refresh a report, and then maximize it on the screen. So it records your mouse clicks and then repeats that for you upon a request or upon a trigger being activated. So I would always recommend starting from a blank, starting from an existing kind of flow that's in the templates set here. What you could do is you can click on this one. So this is create a task in Planner from a message. So if a message gets created in a certain group in the Mark 8 project team, you can ask it to create a plan or a task in the Mark 8 project planner. Right? So this is how you can connect those two systems together. Of course, these are two Microsoft 365 services, so it is probably a simple requirement, right? But you can connect this to Twitter, to SAP, Xero, all those other services as well. So invoices raised in a certain system, it can create a record in another system. It's really built for that level of integration. So what you could do here is you've created a flow, and we're going to edit the template here. So it's going to take us through this step-by-step process, and it's going to take us through how to add these actions, how to edit these kind of processes through these cards. All right. So you can edit the adaptive card here, and we can start building forms for teams to kind of utilize really. So yeah, you've got images, you've got the text boxes, you can bring all these actions and services into this stuff. You can even start using kind of JSON code to manipulate what this thing looks like, and you can start predefining if the message that is selected is coming from Rob, then it might turn the task to red. Yeah, but if not, keep it pink or blue or whatever it might be. You can predefine the start date. You can select the bucket it goes into. So in this bucket in Planner, there's a bucket called launch, and you can predefine that if it's coming from the program manager, it goes into launch or whatever it might be. Really, this is kind of going a lot into the detail, but you can see that the level of integration, the level of capability in these technologies, and it's all available in Microsoft 365. So the idea is to open this up to a range of users, and allow partners like iCoTech to show you really what it can do. There's a lot of other things that this technology could do. Even if you've used Planner, you see the checklist items in each of the planners. So we can start now bringing through, the title of the card, or we can bring dynamic content through from other kind of other fields within the system. All right, so you've got a link to the message there in Planner. So when this is run, you'll be in Planner and you'll know that this is being created by this workflow, and you'll be able to click on the link back to the message in Teams and go back to that kind of that message or that conversation that triggered off this task being created. All right. Virtual agents, I'm just going to go very quickly through the virtual agents. The virtual agents is more about chatbot, so it's more about kind of guiding a user through a story, through a journey. All right, and it's again using low code. It looks the same as Power Automate, and it's about answering questions, having a conversations based on logic. You know, are you a customer? Are you a potential customer? Are you an employee? You know, answer these questions and we'll direct you down this path. And then having that surface on your website or your portal or your Canvas app. All right. And it's about collecting the data, I guess, and then it's steering very quickly these interactions through a journey. You know, do you want someone to call you back? Do you want to set up a Teams meeting? You know, so are you interested in the product we're selling on the website? Yes, I am. You know, I'm in the USA. Can I schedule a Teams meeting, please? Yes, you can. You know, and it'll take you through to that booking form there where you can go and, you know, it knows it's in that this person's in the USA, therefore it's Rob that needs to go and have the conversation because he's based on in that territory, and therefore it brings up his calendar and says these are the time slots that are available. Pick your one you want to go and use. All right. So I'm sorry I'm running out of time, so I'm really going quick on this. I just wanted to say that if you want to go to use the virtual agents and explore it, just Google or Bing Power Virtual Agents, and you can do a free trial. And that free trial will just take you through a few lessons, a few setup techniques as well. You can even, I think you can even give it like the one I did previously to this, not on this environment, was just giving it your website. Like if you work for a company or you know, just giving it a website, and you can actually just take it through a simple topic, step-by-step process. And it takes you know, these are the logic sequences that it goes through, and you can just, you know, it's pretty self-explanatory-ish on how to use these services. Again, you can start from blank, or you can create an example or take an example one. Definitely take an example for your first time. But you'll notice that all these kind of databases are all exactly the same as on the other Dataverse earlier on. All right. And then once you've got these chatbots working in your environment, you can use the analytics tool then to report on how many are being, you know, presented, how many are being abandoned, how many people are engaging with. And you can imagine these chatbots can be on not just the website, but on other applications as well, other form factors as well. And you do have your AI capabilities, so you can get pretty complex with this stuff as well. All right. So coming up to time now, so I'm just going to call it to a close there. As I said, if anybody's got any questions, please do feel free to just chuck them into the chat box, and I can answer any questions that you have. Hopefully, I've given you a bit of an insight into the Power Platform and its capability and its potential. Yeah, I think if you wanted to know any more information on any of these technologies, then please do go over to the YouTube channel, and we've got loads of videos on all these technologies in detail. Or feel free to email me at info@iCoTechservices.co.uk. You can follow me on LinkedIn as well. My name is Joel Markham, and just follow iCoTech, and you can see some of our future events coming in the future as well. So with that said, thank you very much for joining the call. I hope you found it useful and insightful. Apologies, it was a bit quick, probably a bit off more than I could chew in reality, going through each of these technologies at a high level. But thank you very much for joining, and look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you so much. Cheers.